It's not every day we come across a show that is just completely flawless, something that leaves an impact on you so much that it changes your views on things entirely. It's a magnificent feeling that we all experience at one point or another, though with it comes a dilemma. After many years, what happens when that exact property is being brought back? Will it add to the experience or completely taint it forever? Hello everyone! This is the RPG Monger, and today I want to discuss a bit of a sensitive subject with you all. What exactly are the issues with making a faithful return to an old series or even a reboot? Before I give any examples, however, let me address the root of this entire issue, and that root is none other than fear. A fear that at times can be pretty well grounded, but we'll go into that a bit later. As time goes on, storytelling techniques, animation, and just trends in general change. It's the natural flow of things, and there's nothing we can do about it. However, when bringing an old anime or even manga back via another anime, there needs to be a balance between two very important aspects: the new and the old. Because when bringing back something like this, you have to keep in mind that while there will be the OG fans coming back to see their treasured show be revitalized in a new age, there will also be complete newbies watching out of chance or just sheer curiosity. If you only make the plot and whatnot appeal to the devoted fans and not provide any way of easing into the series, then all of the new people will end up being neglected and lost in general. If you dumb it down and change the formula too much for the newcomers, then the devoted fans will end up angry, and the show will have lost its charm, becoming one of many in a sea of similar failures. In the end, it isn't that hard of a goal to achieve, but somehow ends up being completely missed by quite a few choice anime. Though first and foremost, let me start these examples off on a positive note. Osomatsu-san, a series that has had quite a few renditions in the past, is a prime specimen of a show that modernized itself a great deal while not becoming generic among the masses. Though how did they do it? Well, among other things, there is one aspect that comes to mind: the art style. With so many light novels being adapted in every season nowadays, at first glance, the art style of anime seems to have become generic, and that's a topic for a whole other video honestly. But having a show like Osomatsu-san retaining an art style and just general character design from as far back as the 60s is something to be applauded for. And it just goes to show that it clearly worked, as when I was in Japan last November, it had merch in a surprisingly large amount of places. Looking past what they retained, however, as the mix between old and new art styles really did contribute to its success. For a franchise that old to be modernized, how much had to be changed in its modernization? Well, that's the great part about a series like this. They took the gags from the older series, some of which I'm sure you know all too well if you watch the series, and just made all of the jokes much more mature, as all of the characters in the show are now older, thus changing the target audience from younger to older. And more on that. Just the fact that this show so easily molded the formula used previously into a more modern situation, appealing to the common comedic tastes of recent times. Like in the first episode, with all the characters trying to be like modern anime to appeal to a new audience. Just the fact that it accomplishes all of these things make it a stellar example of what is needed to bring back an old show like this, and actually not have it be garbage. Hell, it's even getting a second season next season. Though then, there is another anime that had the potential to make a fantastic return, but ended up making nearly every textbook mistake you can think of. And I know this will get the video dislike flooded, but Berserk 2016 and 2017 have got to be some of the biggest disappointments in anime that I've seen in a long time. And yes, I know, I have defended both of these in the past, as I really did have hope that things could get better. And for a while, things were looking up, but no! After ruining my favorite scene, I only hold contempt for these two adaptations. Though I know many others have talked about this in great detail, so while I'll summarize some main points for people who haven't seen it, what I want to talk about is the fact that it's not like everything was doomed even before it came to fruition. There are many clear steps this adaptation could have taken to prevent it from disgracing Berserk as much as it has. So let's look back to Osomatsu-san. One major thing they did was keep their old art style, right? Well, you see, Berserk has had multiple earlier anime as well, one being on TV and another being a series of movies, both fantastic in my opinion, and at least as time goes on, they should take those aspects and improve on them, right? And I guess in a way, they at least thought they were doing that, as what used to be the most recent adaptations we had were those said movies, who in turn actually combined CG and 2D animation, resulting in an overall pretty great final product. While I still do prefer the full 2D animation of the original anime, the movie was still great and combined 2D animation and CG pretty well, though then in comes 2016 and 2017, being made by not one, but two studios. So let's take a look at those two, huh? To further get a better view of this entire situation. So starting with Millipence, or is it Millipence? Well, one thing I can say is they do have experience, not in main animation, but more key animation and in-between animation, with Berserk being their first project to actually take on the actual animation. Oh, and Gemba, the other studio that worked on these adaptations, isn't much better, with Berserk being their first time doing animation production in general. With all of those examples of what to do from the past as well, somehow these studios went ahead and threw away nearly all 2D animation only to have it in the anime randomly and out of nowhere. I could go way more into this too, but honestly I think you've all heard enough talk about Berserk at this point, though I will say, when they actually use it, the soundtrack is incredible and deserves quite a bit of praise at least, but that's all I have to say there. Then for my final example, I have a bit of a peculiar situation as the anime hasn't even come out yet, but I feel is just as important because another very important aspect with these large anticipated anime is to provide honest information prior to its release. Fooly Cooly 2 and 3 are anime that are not even going to come out this year, but we already have extremely promising information about it, and as it is Fooly Cooly, one of my favorite anime in general, I have to talk about it. Trailers. You may overlook them as being a taste of what's to come, but I'd say that alone is way more important than you realize, as sometimes, and I'm looking at you Berserk 2016, you'll have a trailer that doesn't look half bad, and then when it comes time to see that exact scene in the anime, it looks way worse. I swear, it's like we need to get that disclaimer, like many game trailers have, that the footage is actually from the anime. And Fooly Cooly did that so well, showing that it will be an absolutely fantastic return to the series, showing that the art style is mostly the same with a slight modernization, as expected, not to mention the music will once again be done by the Pillows, one of the most important aspects, as their music really did make the series iconic. Though arguably, the most important thing about these adaptations is that they have different protagonists and settings as it's been revealed, and you know what that means? It will not taint the original anime, as a lot of people I've seen are scared it will. With amazing people backing this anime and so much more, I'd have to say that this continuation really is following all of the guidelines in my cookbook for bringing back old anime. It really is that easy, and I do hope we get more anime that follow those set rules, because to see that happen would really be nothing less of magnificent. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, do subscribe. And today's cool thing of the day would have to be the trailer for Fooly Cooly 2 and 3, because come on, this is something I just cannot stop thinking about, and just hearing the new Pillows music in the trailer already has me majorly pumped for its eventual release next year. So that being said, I'm the RPG Monger, and don't forget that each and every one of you are fantastic.